Hey, bio students, as part of this little subunit on climate change, I would like you to perform this task where you look into some of the data that has been collected by various stations and then try to visualize that data. I think it's good exercise to learn how to look at data and use Google Sheets to create something that gives a graph, that shows the data quite neatly. So I'm asking you to go to the Global Monitoring Laboratory, and if you click on that link, it brings you here to this data warehouse. You can call it that. They've got 3,327 data sets, and of course, I only want you to find one of those, not all of them, obviously. So you're going to have to search for certain data sets that are appropriate for this task. If you look here at the categories, parameters, you can click on some. So we are focusing on carbon dioxide. Don't choose monoxide. Carbon dioxide, there you got 226 data sets. What we also want to look at is monthly averages. I'm telling you to do that because I looked at some other ones and you get too much data. So look for monthly averages, and then here you got sites. And what does this mean? Information about site codes can be found here. So if you click on that, let's open it up in a new window. You can see here a world map with all the different sites where scientists are collecting data regarding the levels of atmospheric CO2. Now it says here that there's yellow and red ones. It says here underneath, yellow markers indicate discontinued sites. So I would advise you to choose one here and choose a red dot. Otherwise your data set will be a little bit limited, most likely. So yeah, I'm just choosing here Easter Island, for instance. So I go back to, and Easter Island is, let's look at the code, EIC. So I go back here and then I just scroll down and find EIC there. And if I click on that, then it will give me the one data set I'm looking for instead of 3,327 originally. So what can you do there? You can download the data. And I was kind of hoping that if it would give you a file that you can open up directly in Google Sheets, but that's not the case. So that's why I am now recording this, because you'll need to apply a few neat little tricks that I'm going to explain. If you open up the downloaded file, it's a text file, you see. It's not an Excel file. So here there's some information about this data, freely available, etc., etc. Parameter CO2, yeah, and then we come to the actual data here. So you can happily ignore this also. So what you need to do is to copy and paste this data here. You can see it goes up to boom, 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 all the way down. There, it goes up to 2019 and started in where did we start? 1994. So that's a reasonable data set. And you see here 1994 1, 1994 2. So that's January, February, March, etc. So the numbers go up to 12 and then go back to January again. So let's copy and paste that. So you would select it here, then you do Command C or Control C, and then you go to a new Google Sheets, and you then paste it. Oh, that didn't work well. Let's do it again. Okay, Control C, and then you paste it here. That works better. Sorry. Now, then I noticed when I did this, just to check if everything is working smoothly, I noticed that it doesn't paste it in individual columns. So you've got here a row with one cell there, and it says still this Easter Island code, and 1994, then the first month, then the value of CO2 there. So it's all in one cell, and I can't produce a chart if it's all stuck together in one cell. Now, um, Google Sheets, we're going to say Excel. Google Sheets has one neat little function where you can split up the data. And yeah, I was going to say, where is it? My cursor is right on top of it already. See here? So I select the one cell. You can also select all cells in one go. I'll do that in a bit. It says your split text to columns. And if I click on that, it asks you to select a separator. Now in this case it's spaces, but maybe detect automatically it would already work. Maybe not. I'll just choose space in that case then. See, and it splits up all of these. It has put that value there a little bit far away because there's probably two spaces in between and here also. So let's see what happens if I undo that and I just do it for the entire column. So you just select, scroll down, so you reached the last row. There we go. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And do the same thing, data, and then split text to columns there. And now it's done it much neater. I don't know why it does it better if you select all of them, but that happens to be the case. So now I've got a neat column with years. So there's a year column, month column, and the CO2 values. I've got all right, CO2 values. There. I have one other issue though, because if I want to now make a graph out of this, then I can hopefully maybe quickly show you what happens if you do it like this. I have to select everything again, sorry. There we go. So you select all three columns, and this is the problem because you get three columns, whereas in the graph you have an x value and a y value, which means two columns. Yeah. So if I now say insert chart, what it's going to do is it's going to plot a blue line there, which is probably the month numbers, I guess, and this red line here, which is the actual CO2 value. So you can see that here in the chart editor. On the x-axis, I've got, this is the year column, yeah, so that's fine, yeah. But for the series, it's also plotting the months. So you don't want that anyhow. You could remove that, but that still doesn't give you the correct graph. And I can show you that if I were to go to the x-axis here, click on the x-axis, sorry, what am I saying, y-axis, and then you would zoom in on the graph. Let's say we go from 350 there. What you get is a really weird graph that has little jumps there, you see? So it's a straight line and a jump. And that's because it's plotting for the year 2000, it's plotting all 12 month values on top of each other. So this is not what you want. So you're gonna delete this graph, and we're gonna do something really cool, I think. We are going to merge, but I should not use the word merge. We're going to put these two dates, these two values together. So the year value and the month value, I'm going to what we call concatenate, not merge. If you were to say merge, which is also an option, I think on the edits, where is it now? Merge. Here, merge cells. Suppose I would say merge and then horizontally. Yeah? It's going to give me a warning to say merging cells will only preserve the top leftmost value, merge anyway. And if I do OK, then I've lost my month number. You see that? So it's done that. So Control Z for undo. So I don't want that. What I do want to do is to put in a new function, a new column. First, a new column, insert one left. And there I want to put in a new function. And the function is called concatenate. And if you can concatenate, you are appending strings to one another. And I can concatenate different values, like this, for instance, and then that's this. Oh, and then I gotta add a comma there, and then that, and then a bracket. See what's happening there in the left corner? So I'm concatenating B3 and C3 together. If I enter that, now I get 1994-1. It's better. It's almost what I want, but it's not good because now it's the number 19,941. Yeah, so I want to have something in between. So I can do that by adding a little divider there. So see what I'm doing in that function there? I hope you can see that. So I am concatenating the value in B3, which is 1994. Then I'm putting a little hyphen there. Yeah. And then I'm adding the value 1. And let's see what that looks like. And indeed now we got 1994-1. And I can copy that down. This is what makes these kind of videos long. Oh, gone past it also. Stupid. Now, there we go. So if I do that, then I see all of the years and the months have been concatenated. And now I can write here date, for instance, and let's see what happens. I'm just going to select these two columns. 3. I could also stop here, but I want to see the whole thing. There. And now if I would insert a chart and I've got 2 columns instead of 3, then hopefully it will be a bit better. Indeed, you got all the values there for the dates. Yeah, it's a bit ugly. You know why that is? Let me first zoom in a little bit, by the way. Zoom, zoom, zoom. How do I zoom in? Vertical axis. Minimum value. Let's again zoom in from 350 up to maximum. See here. Now you've got, in contrast to the previous graph, don't have these vertical jumps and horizontal straight lines. Now you've got a nice sort of fluctuating graph, and you can see how the CO2 values have gone up from 1994 up to last year, quite dramatically even. Although, of course, we're zooming in on the graph here a little bit, so maybe it looks a little bit more dramatic than it is in reality, but still, it's gone up from 350 to 407-ish, I believe, 410 or so now. So that's still an increase of 60. So 60 out of the 360, that's about 1/6. So you're still talking about 15% or so increase if I do the quick calculation on top of my head. Now these dates are ugly, so I'm going to see if I can manipulate that. I'm going to look at this column here and say I want this to be not just a number, but I want it to be a date. And in fact, I want it to be a date with only years and months. And if I apply that, now I think, where's my graph? It hasn't updated it. What can I do here? That labels auto. Yeah, so I'm not happy with that. I'm going to play around with this because I did it before just to test, and then it worked neatly. So I'm stubborn, you want these things to work properly. Now, after a little bit of playing around, I can't seem to change the format of this column here. Most likely because this concatenate in there. So, well, you got to find solutions. So I'm decided to do something else, not concatenate, but something else. And I'm going to leave the concatenate option in there so that you know that such a thing exists. But I'm going to change this whole function here and make it into something else. I'm going to use the date function. And the date function converts year, month, day into a date. So I'm going to indicate that I want to convert B3, C3 into, and I'll make a mistake here so you see what happens. If I do this, I'm going to get an error, and the error says wrong number of arguments to date, expect 3 arguments, and that's because it's missing a day number. So you got to enter something there, and I would just say if you just enter a 1 there, it will interpret all these dates as the first of the month. So if I now do enter, then it will say January 1994, and you see how it's changed it there in the graph also already. So you would copy this down, and now you can actually change the format, because I think January 1994 is a bit long. So I'm going to look at the formats available for dates, and here I'm going to change the month of August to a month as an abbreviation. So it will just say Jan 1994. It's a bit shorter there, and if I now copy all of this down, then it should also update, and I'll do it for a couple. See, if you go all the way down, you see it starts to update all these values. So it looks a bit neater. Now, then I would still change a few things, like I say the vertical axis there. I would definitely zoom in a little bit. So start with 350. That's sort of the That's at least a good starting point, I think, for your dates, for your CO2 values, and maximum you can just leave as it is. So now you have a bit more of a view on what's happening in the graph. You see these fluctuations over the year. They're caused by the seasons because you've got deciduous trees that lose their leaves in wintertime, and that means that they don't photosynthesize at that point anymore. So less CO2 is taken from the atmosphere, and that means that the CO2 in the atmosphere will increase locally there. So that's why you got this fluctuation over the years. So you would change the title of the graph there to CO2 values per year uh, in at Easter Island, Chile, 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 yeah. Just look for the information there. All right. I suspect this is enough, so I want you to do that at least as an exercise and to also interpret the graph. All right. Good luck with that.